Peace, 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 peace. Peace to the gods. Sorry I'm on late. I understand it's different time zone here. How's everybody doing? Let's get those likes up. How's everybody doing? We got y'all been in the chat room just talking, huh? Well, y'all been on here for a minute. What's happening? What's happening? What we got in here? Hey Yusuf, have you looked at SEC versus JARC? Where dude is saying the SEC doesn't have the right to oversee his hedge fund, claiming the SEC got his power wrongfully through decision. Well, I don't know. I have to see that because that don't even sound correct. Because once you have an understanding of public and private, the SEC does have jury. If we're dealing with U.S. citizens, the SEC has regulatory authority over it. And Federal Reserve notes, he probably did he win? I'm sure. Just you telling me what he said, I'm betting he didn't win. I'm betting he didn't win. Brother Yusuf, thank you so much for allowing me to be here from Washington, D.C. You're welcome. I want to become a full-time member. I appreciate that. When you become a member, make sure you join Currency Circulator. That's going to ensure that you make some money from becoming a member. Make some money. If you go to go to spcuniversity.com. Once you join, you're going to see the affiliate link. Join on the affiliate link, and that's going to take you to our Currency Circulator. Just click on the free join, and then we'll check and see if you have a membership. And once you have a membership, we will put you in Currency Circulator, and you will, as long as you stay in it, you will get $20,000 because it's like a single file line thing. I don't have it like a network marketing thing or anything like that. I have it where everybody who joins pushes the next person. So every time there's people joining, if you're in line, you just get pushed further to the top. It's a single file line to receive $20,000. That's why I say I'm out to give the first person $20,000 so I can start paying people their $20,000, their $20,000, the $20,000, the $20,000. So all you have to do is just join, and you'll see where you're at. If you, I got it set up where you can see the entire everything, where you can see who's at the top, where you're at. You can see everything. It ain't no thing where you don't know what's going on. I see right now I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have Brandon Jones, Nia Hamel Reed, Kishoi Simmons, David Aries, Garen Brokenberry, Roman Ram. And we're going to check all of this. If you're not a member of SPC University, if you make it to the top and you're not a member of SPC University, we're going to give your $20,000 to someone else. Actually, I'll probably take it. Or if somebody wants to buy in that spot, I'm going to give that spot to them. I'll just put it up for sale. So it won't be no finessing the system or anything like that. I know some people think they're going to do that. They're not going to be able to do it. You're dealing with me. Please don't think you can finesse this system. You cannot finesse this system. You cannot finesse this system. All right. So you want to join over there? You can go over there right now. My Currency Circulator. If you're already a member, and you can look on the network and the genealogy tree and the board view, and you can see where you're at and see how much money you've got. You probably your e-wallet, check your e-wallet and see how much money you've already earned. You probably have already earned some money. A lot of people, you earn $100 and $200 and $400 and $800 and $1,600 and $2,500 and $5,000 and then $20,000. It kind of goes like that. So, just check it out. I think you'll like it. It's like an added benefit. Doesn't cost you anything extra. Just once you join SPC University, you're automatically eligible to be placed into my Currency Circulator. Everyone I called the GPO and asked him about an all cap name and what it means, the man started stuttering and said he doesn't know. That it probably means nothing. I mean, they gonna tell you, man. You think you're gonna call them people and ask them, they're gonna give you some information. They're not giving you any information. But I'm glad you did that because now you see it's some bullshit. If you get a Homeland Security, I remember when I was helping people in jail, and I remember this one guy. One thing about being in Miami is you got a lot of foreigners that come through there. So that was a big experience for me too, to really see all the paperwork of people who were getting arrested, who were from other countries and things like that. And they got this Homeland Security. When they come into the country, even if they're visiting, they got to sign this Homeland Security document and tells why they're here and how long they're going to be here and all this. And if they get arrested, that's going to be in their discovery. And basically, it's like a bond, because their word is bond. You just told us you came over here to visit. You were going here to be for 2 weeks, blah blah blah. And then if you don't do that, you broke your word, and they're going to cash in the bond on you. It's really, and then you can see on the document where they instruct the agents to print the person's name in all capital letters. It's right there in the instructions on the document. And they try to tell you that it don't mean anything. Okay, it doesn't mean, well, why are you telling your government agents to print everything in all capital letters? Why do you have to give instructions to print everything in all caps? Hit the like button, people, for our brother. I appreciate that. Let's get the like buttons up. We got over 117. I'm cool with that. Today, what we're going to talk about what does acceptance for value mean. There are a lot of people who are upset with me because they say I let them demons yesterday distract me from what I wanted to talk about, which is an understanding of public and private and how you have value and how you are the creditor. All right, so we're going to get to that today. And before we begin, what we have to do first is we have to go over to SPC University, and we got to download our document. Now, once again, I know it's a lot of new people who watch my channel. All right, so I'm going to give you this link right here. This is a link to a lot of free information. Free information. There it is right there. I'm going to put the link in the chat room. Just click on the link. Click on the link. Click on the link. Put in there several times so you can't miss it. Can't miss it. All right, you can click on that link. That's going to take you over to the SPC University PDF download, which is free to anyone who comes to my website. You do not have to pay any money. Now, a lot of people ask me questions, where I need to start. You can start by reading everything on this page. That's where you can start. I've read everything on this page. You read everything on this page. I've read everything on this page more than once, or else I wouldn't be giving it to you. I have some very, very good information on here. I would advise you to down every single thing on this page and put it in a disk drive or somewhere and save it and for the day when you don't have access to this type of information on the internet anymore. All right. So what we are looking at on this particular page is we are looking at what does acceptance for value mean, which is the first column, the fourth document down. What does acceptance for value mean? Okay, if you don't see it and you can't read, here's the link to it. But it's on that PDF website. Here's the link to it. You can download it directly right out of the chat. You don't have, if you can't find it, you're on your phone. You just have a problem understanding things. You can't see it. Where is it at, Yusuf? I understand. I deal with people all the time. So there is the link. I put the link in the chat about 4 times. You can click on the link and download the document. Please, while you're in the chat, give me a thumbs up, a yes, I got it, or something like that. Yes, to verify that you have downloaded the document. You have it open, and you can see the first page where it says, what does acceptance for value mean? What does acceptance for value mean? What does acceptance for value mean? We on that page. What does acceptance for value mean? All right. Y'all see that? Okay, got it? Yeah, you got it. Okay, good. Now, why are we having this document? This is by a gentleman named Byron Beers, who I feel or deem is very intelligent. He has a very good understanding of the UCC. Very good understanding of the UCC. This is not an easy read. This is a very sophisticated read. However, it is an important read because what? Everything we're doing is about acceptance for value. So obviously, if you're going to, let me put this in front of me right here. Obviously, if we're going to be talking about acceptance for value, we need to know what it means. Okay, this is good reference material. It's free. It has been on the internet for quite some time. It is amazing to me that people attempt to discharge debt and they don't read it. If you're attempting to discharge debt, this is a staple in the information. I don't think that you should even be trying to discharge debt unless you have thoroughly understood this document. It is not an easy read. So tonight, what I'm going to attempt to do, I'm going to attempt to explain it to you so you can get an understanding with it. So, because I'm traveling right now, I am in Barcelona, Spain. It is getting close to midnight here. I don't know what time it is there, but I'm up. I'm up on the job in Barcelona, which is Barcelona's beautiful. Barcelona is like Miami. Madrid is like New York. I'm always partial to Miami in America. So that lets you know I like Barcelona over Madrid. Madrid is a beautiful city too, though. You know, if you come to Spain, you want to see San Sebastian, which is, I'm planning on going there next because they're both like coastal cities and like beach cities and everything. But Madrid is no beach, but when you're in Madrid, you just can't think. You're like, damn, this is New York City. Almost looks just like New York City. But if you like New York and you're partial to that type of vibe, then when you come to Spain, make your first stop Madrid, but then also go to Barcelona. But I think that the majority of the people are going to like Barcelona. I understand why they had the Olympics in Barcelona. I can understand that. It's a real nice. I've extended my stay here. That's how much I like it in Barcelona. All right. So I appreciate that. I'm unable to read it because I'm driving a truck at the moment. That's okay, James Ross. You don't have to read it. I'm going to read it for you. All right. That's why I'm telling you to open it up. I'm just saying if you are desirous to follow along what I'm doing, you can read it. But James Ross, you do not have to do it. I'm going to do that for you, sir. All right. So let's dig into this document. What does acceptance for value mean? Millions of people use the phrase accept for value every day without knowing what it means and why it is so powerful. You have the right to make personal choices that affect your commercial affairs. You can be in control or you can be controlled. Acceptance for value is one means of being in control. Now, what's really interesting about this document, it gets into really the behind the scenes of things, of what is going on behind the scenes, like when you get an indictment, what's really going on. When you get a traffic ticket, what's really going on. These things right here, I love this. But when you get an electric bill, what's really going on. All right, so he has he has a list of booklets. He writes other books as well: Superior Law, Higher Law, My Law, Introduction to Corporate Political Sciences. Now you can Google these and put PDF behind it, and it will pop up for you. You can download his additional books. I would suggest that you get everything that he has. If you can't find it, I do have it on SBC University. You can download all these. However, you don't have to be a member to get these things. Just put them in Google, and then whenever you're looking for a document, put the name of the document and then put dot PDF and then push search, and it should pop up for you. Okay. A lot of free information on the internet. Lots of free information on the internet. Okay. Society of slaves and free men, sovereignty, the legal system for sovereign rulers, the negative side of positive law, liberty, where when there is no money, the natural order of things, minister, a lot of good things. Now, this is really interesting because this is where he was the first person that made me aware of Matthew 5:25 through 26. Agree with thine adversary quickly while thou art on the way with him, lest at any time the adversary deliver thee to the judge, and the judge deliver thee to the officer, and thou be cast into prison. Verily I say to thee, thou shalt by no means come out thence till thou hast paid the uttermost farthing. Matthew 5:25 through 26. Very, very interesting that 2,000 years ago, they have a quote in the Bible that is referring to the debtor prison system and what we are going through today. And this was written 2,000 years ago. Write that down, Matthew 5:25 through 26. What does acceptance for value mean? Now, acceptance for value, A for V, is at the foundation of remedies available for commercial demands made by the United States. So many people have attempted to use it to close accounts in the United States, Even so, no one has had a good explanation of what A for B means. Here is an attempt to clarify. When they talk about demands in the United States or within the United States, we know that the United States is not the United States of America. The United States is a different jurisdiction. The United States is referring to the territorial jurisdiction in which the United States exercises plenary power. And when we say United States, we're really talking about Congress, the legislature, and they derive their power from Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17 of the Constitution. So let's read this introduction. The Uniform Commercial Code in Article 3 that deals with negotiable instruments is one source of explanation. Article 8 deals with investment securities, and Article 9 deals with secured transactions. In addition to opinions written by judges to shed light on our remedies, all three of these articles hold a key to understanding commercial set-off. Once again, he's talking about set-off. That is all we are doing is setting off. Because there is no money, you can't pay for things. So when you use, I'm paying for this, and you're using some sort of negotiable instrument, and you're in the public, you are setting yourself up to get arrested. Anytime anybody uses the word pay, they fucked up. That's how I monitor people. They try to call me, trip me up on the phone. As soon as they say pay, I said, you will get arrested. We're not paying for anything. There isn't any money. Why you keep talking about pay? Why are you on my phone talking about pay? We're doing a set-off. We're using private credit against public liability. Do you know what a set-off is? Now I got to get into an explanation what a set-off is. So you got all the people on there. You telling these people. I got some idiot on one of my videos. He told me, you try to tell people that there's a Treasury Direct account, and there's a secret account, and they can get free money. And I mean, shut the fuck up. You don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. Shut up. Listen. Just shut up. All right, so let's continue. We are on page 7 of 56. What does acceptance for value mean? We are in the introduction paragraph. All right, now this document also is what led me to start reading case law. Because right here, when he says, in addition to opinions written by judges to shed light on our remedies, that's one thing you ought to know about case law. Case law are opinions. All three of these articles hold a key to understanding commercial set-off. The UCC had an overhaul in 2000, but the major principles remain the same. Principles never change. They're like natural law. Y'all talking about, I try to use your process. That's another thing that people like to say, and then they'll show me their paperwork, and it's some shit I've seen a million times, just worded a different way. As soon as I see that, I say, you a neophyte, you don't understand. All this shit is the same. Nothing changed in this space. The process changed, but the principles never change. I got this process. It's crazy. So the UCC had an overhaul in 2000, but the major principles remain the same. The changes appear to be to the sections that deal with secure transactions, which is Article 9, and some with investment securities, which is Article 8. But negotiable instruments, which is Article 3, are what lead to those securities. So before we get into Article 8 or Article 9, we got to start with Article 3. And a negotiable instrument can be converted into a security, which then will include Article 8 and Article 9. But we start with Article 3, which is negotiable instruments. Bills and notes. Once again, you can read about bills and notes. I would highly advise, strongly suggest that you read American Jurisprudence, which is bills and notes. You can find that on SBC University under the PDF section under American Jurisprudence. You'll see bills and notes. Read it. The phrase accepted for value has little coverage in the code books or in court opinions. A better understanding of the commercial terms acceptance and value and how they relate to instruments in general would be a good place to start. And the reason for that is there's really no legal term called acceptance for value. There is a legal term that says acceptance for honor. There is a term called acceptance for honor. But there is no legal term acceptance for value because there's different words. Acceptance, you need to know what that means, and value, you need to know what that means. So right now, we're going to go into a explanation of what acceptance is, coming from Black 7th and Black's 4th edition. What is an acceptance? It's an agreement, either by express act or implication from conduct. You got to understand you got implied contracts and express contracts. One of the things I've had to contend with in this space as individuals, especially on the Washita and all those girls, I haven't signed my name on anything. I've been on calls with these people, and I said, well, I didn't agree no. I didn't want to listen to shit I say. I said, you know what? I really can't understand how you're sitting here on the phone with me arguing. You haven't even looked up, studied anything about contract law. You like a damn fool talking to me right now. I can really see that you haven't read shit. You're just on here talking. Because if you had read anything about contract law, contracts are express or implied. Express means that you wrote it down. Implied means from your conduct. You can engage in a contract by your actions because actions speak louder than words. Now, if you can't get that in your mind, you need to leave this the fuck alone. And you need to, if you're teaching, leave it alone. You're misleading people. You're going to get people fucked up. All right. Any attorney on here listening knows what I'm talking about. You look like an idiot if you don't understand the contracts are express or implied. Let me look in the chat room because this is an important point for you to understand. Do you understand that contracts are either written out or they're implied through your conduct? Like when you go into a restaurant and sit down to eat and you eat the food, you may not have signed anything, but your conduct in eating the food means that you have agreed to, in a contract, to pay for the food. Do you fucking understand that? Everybody understand that? We got to understand that because a lot of people do not understand that. And you can't make them understand it, but I haven't signed anything. What do you mean? I'm in a contract. I haven't signed anything, Yusuf. He's an idiot. Yusuf L is an idiot. This motherfucker right here. It don't mean that. It doesn't matter if you sign inform sign for you. You're not a contract is not a contract isn't effective until you turn 18. You can be put in a contract before 18. That you can look on the internet and find it out. But you have an executed, it's not executed, it's an executory contract. Write that down, everyone. Executory contract. The people like, they signed our name on something when we were born. Doesn't fucking matter. You cannot enter into a contract until you reach the age of majority. But you got an executory contract and you got an executed contract. Let's look at executory contract. For all of you who cannot seem to understand these things, here's the link right here in the chat room. What is an executory contract? An executory contract, executory refers to something, generally a contract that has not yet fully performed or completed and is therefore considered imperfect or unassured until its full execution. Anything executory is started and not yet finished, or is in the process of being completed in order to take full effect of a future time. So when they tell you that children cannot be entered into a contract, that's a goddamn lie. Children can be introduced into a contract, but it is not executed. It is executory. Once they reach the age of majority, then, and they take some sort of action to justify, to legitimize the contract, then they're involved in the contract. That's what Minnesota Rule of Practice 220 was talking about with the birth certificate authentication, but people don't understand that. It's talking about land that's being held in the name of a minor, but a minor cannot be in a contract until they're 18 years of age. Once they reach the age of majority, then the person, the custodian who was holding the property to them, has to bring them to court. And as evidence that they reached the age of majority, we need a birth certificate. It has to be authenticated. You cannot bring a birth certificate into court just straight from vital statistics. You have to authenticate it and then put it into evidence. Once it's been authenticated, you put it into evidence, and then the custodian, he's going to come with an affidavit attesting under penalty of perjury that this is the person and this is his birth certificate, because you need two witnesses, and that comes out of the Bible. I did that real quick. Hopefully you can get it. Get it? Got it? Good. Now, so we're talking about acceptance. So acceptance is express or implied. Next is accept, which is Black's fourth. To receive with approval or satisfaction, to receive with intent to retain. If you just joined us, we are reading out of a document, acceptance for value. Let me put it in the chat because I know people are slow coming in. So there it is right there. That's what we're reading. We're on page 7 of 56. We're trying to understand right now what acceptance is. So we have different definitions. We have Black's Law 7th edition acceptance, accept in Black's Law 4th, and acceptance, the taking and receiving of anything in good part, and as it were a tacit agreement to a preceding act, which might have been defeated or avoided if such acceptance had not been made. Black's 4th edition. So we have to understand what acceptance and value are. There is no legal term acceptance for value. Once again, there is a legal term called acceptance for honor. Okay? When you're studying acceptance for value, you have to look at the words individually. What does acceptance mean? What does value mean? Because value is what we are concerned with in today's world, because there is no money. So what gives value to something? What gives value to a Federal Reserve note? What gives value to your bill of exchange? What gives value to your promissory note? What gives value to your money order? What is giving value to that instrument when you present that instrument for set off against an obligation, like when you're trying to discharge your electric bill, or when you're trying to discharge a car or a home or something like that, or a criminal case, where you're handing them a negotiable instrument, but where does the value come from? Does everybody understand what I'm saying? Does everybody understand what I'm saying? Hopefully, I'm going to try to take this slow because we're going to probably have to do this for a couple of days. You have to understand that the demons are watching. Juan Galt, The Shield, and an artist corporate fiction are in somewhere out there, somewhere in the audience just watching. All right? Hi. I appreciate you, y'all fans, fanboys. So once again, let's go to it. What is a naked acceptance? A naked acceptance waives remedies that are available while waiving defects in the instrument agreement that is being offered an acceptance. Receiving an instrument is an acceptance and a taking. So when you receive something, like for instance, when you're in a court proceeding and you're in your arraignment and they ask you, how do you plead? Well, Your Honor, I'll be more than happy to plead to these charges. However, I have not seen any charges formally put on the record. Nobody's read any charges on the record or haven't seen any charges. At that time, they're going to bring your indictment, a copy of it, put it on the table in front of you. You're going to pick it up, look at the front and back, and you're going to say, Your Honor, I see no charges. Your Honor, I request that the Honorable Judge direct the prosecutor to read the charges into the record. We need to establish who is the liable party on the record for bringing charges against you. That is the prosecutor. Now, I don't know how that's going to get you arrested. You know, we have artist corporate fiction and The Shield. They're going to say, I'm telling you things to get you arrested. You need to ask yourself, why is requesting that who is bringing the charges be placed on the record is something that is going to get you arrested? As I go through all of this, I'm going to be stopping and talking about, will this get you arrested? We are requesting that the judge demand that the prosecutor read the charges into the record. Will that get you arrested? These fools don't know what they're talking about. All right, it's not going to get you arrested. Okay, why would it get you arrested? You know, I said, like, look, man, I'll gladly plead, but who's bringing the charges against you? Have them read the charges into the record. They don't want you to know that. But you know why they don't want you to know that? Because everything on their side is they're trying to avoid liability. That's why they want you to plead guilty. A guilty plea kills all known and unknown defenses. It destroys any chance that you have of placing liability for anything on anybody in the public. That's why they love a guilty plea. That's why everything they do is pleas. And these fools, they out here trying to talk about me because I'm telling y'all this information. Oh, you telling them something that, you're telling them stuff that's going to get them arrested. What do you mean, the Sixth Amendment for the Constitution? That's ridiculous. Why would you tell people to enforce the Constitution in a criminal matter? That's what they're saying, though. That's really what they're saying. We don't recognize the Constitution. We're demons. We do what we want. The judge can do what they want. The sheriff can do what they want. We can do what we want. We don't have to answer any questions in court. The judge doesn't have to answer any questions. They think you're stupid. UCC 1-201, general definitions, value. Now we're going to get an understanding of what value is. Once again, we're talking about A for V, acceptance for value. We're looking at acceptance. We just looked at acceptance of what that is. Now we're looking at value. But first, let's read this. A naked acceptance waives remedies that are available for waiving defects in the instrument agreement that is being offered in acceptance. That's when you that's like a plea. When you put in a plea is a naked acceptance. You waive all your remedies. Receiving an instrument is an acceptance and a taking. Retention, if you keep it, is the basis for a binding contract. If there is a proceeding like a pledge to the United States, altering the terms of the instrument and returning it operates as a counteroffer. What is a pledge to the United States? When you take a social security number, you pledged a part of your labor to the United States in payment and repayment of the national debt. You work a job and you give your social security. When you go and voluntarily get a social security number, you are pledging part of your labor, 1/3 of it to the United States. You don't understand that? Anybody want to argue with that? You have to be a damn fool not to understand that. Why are you getting your children's social security numbers at the hospital? What the fuck is wrong with you? Oh, I know why you're getting it, because you don't have any money and you want to put them on your taxes. This is some poverty ass shit. This is a dependency on the welfare state. I want to file them and put them on my taxes so I can get a return. If I give me an extra $2,000, I don't know, whatever you're getting. I don't know what you're getting, but it's welfare. Do not talk about single mothers who are on welfare when you are doing the same thing. You are taking a check from the government. You are on welfare. Everybody understand that? Does everybody understand that, what I'm saying? Everybody understand what I'm saying? When you are in the hospital, there's two things they're going to try to get you to do: get a birth certificate and a social security number. The birth certificate is going to be mandatory. They may even arrest you if you try to leave the hospital without getting a birth certificate. The social security number, they're going to tell you is voluntary. They might bring 5 nurses into there. Well, sir, you sure you don't want to get a social security number? No, bitch. The fuck out of my face. Make sure, listen, the man is supposed to be in the hospital. You can't control, man, this woman has just had a baby. She's out of her mind. Or she knocked out. She's not handling no business, man. She just had a baby. You got to be there on them nurses' ass. Bring your camera. As soon as your baby come out and they pull them out and they taking them over the little thing, get a picture of the bottom of the feet. Start taking pictures of your baby. Because these motherfuckers will swap them out, do all kind of shit. Especially if they find out the blood type is, they have this blood type that we really need. Make sure you get the afterbirth, the placenta. Demand that you get the placenta. They will give it to you in a container. Take the placenta and bury it under a tree. That is a ritual that is for long life of your child. Bury the placenta under a small tree. Everybody understand that? Get the placenta. All right. Let's continue. So, we're not going to do a naked acceptance where you just agree to do something without qualifying your agreement. So now we're going to talk about UCC 1-201, which is value. If you have just joined us and you're unaware of what is going on, we are reading from acceptance for value. What is acceptance for value? There is the document right there. Once again, once you click on that link, You can open it up. You can turn to page 7 of 57. That's where we are at. We're on page 7 of 56. I'm sorry, 7 of 56. There is, it is. If you're in the chat right now, there are 336 people in the chat. Let's get the likes up. Let's get the likes up. Let's get the likes up. Let's get some donations going too. Come on, man. Y'all got me working. I like donations. Y'all got me working. I'm working. All right, let's go. All right, so UCC 1-201 general definitions value, except as otherwise provided with respect to negotiable instruments and bank collections, sections 3-303, 4-210, and 4-211. A person gives value for rights if he acquires them. Now, this is what is so great about what is acceptance for value, because you're giving value for rights. You're giving them something, there's an exchange going on. Okay, we're giving the United States something, and in return, they're giving us something. So we're giving them some value and they're giving us some value. They're giving us value in the public and we're giving them value in the private. Keep that concept in your mind. We're as a private American citizen, as a real living soul, all right, the value is derived from the fact that you are a real living soul capable of performing labor. In the public, everything is a legal fiction entity. A legal fiction entity is a construct of the mind. It doesn't exist in reality. So it can't perform labor or do anything that's going to create something of value. Only a real living soul does that. So the full faith and credit of the United States is derived from real living souls, you going to work every day, creating something of value that keeps everything in the country going. That's why we have a minimum wage. We have a minimum wage because every single human being born has some value. Even if you're not intelligent, you have some value if you're able to sweep the floor and mop the floor or flip burgers. Everyone has value. They're trying to destroy that right now with AI making robots because they want to get rid of all of you. Now they want to deal with some of you. And they're on their way to doing that. He says, I sure wish the answer to the question posed in the title could be distilled in 10 to 30-minute PowerPoint, some outline. Well, I'm just sorry, sir. If you're not intelligent or patient enough to get the answer, then just move on. I am appealing. I know my audience. I know got people, you got different levels of intelligence. So you can chop this up and you can take out the salient points that you need to, if you're just so intelligent to understand this. Or if you'd like, you can read it yourself. If you're intelligent, if this is so draining for you, it's taking so long for you to get, just go and read it yourself. Look up the words. So we're studying value, UCC 1-201. Value, except as otherwise provided. Okay, so in return for a binding commitment to extend credit, you are extending credit from the private into the public. That's why they say an extension of credit. In return for a binding commitment to extend credit or for the extension of immediately available credit, whether or not drawn upon and whether or not a chargeback is provided for in the event of difficulties in collection, or B, as security for or in total or partial satisfaction of a pre-existing claim, C, by accepting delivery pursuant to a pre-existing contract for purchase, or D, generally in return for any consideration sufficient to support a simple contract. So this is value. What is value? Okay, if we're going to extend credit, whether or not drawn upon, like when you get a credit card, you may not never use it. You may not have drawn upon it. It's an extension of credit. All right, there's an exchange from the public and the private every time you sign your signature on something. What is the value that's why they do a credit check on you. They like to see that, okay, this person will work. He's a good slave. He pays his debts. He will go to work and give us Federal Reserve notes because we are operating in a Federal Reserve system. However, as a sovereign, as a creditor, we don't use Federal Reserve notes to offset obligations in the public. We use our own negotiable instruments because the Federal Reserve is a private bank and we are a private banker. If you are intelligent enough to conduct your own commercial affairs, meaning you understand how to create a negotiable instrument and you understand where the value of that negotiable instrument is derived from, and you can give instructions, processing instructions to help somebody in the public obtain the necessary credits they need, the way they can make an adjustment on their books to offset an obligation. This is what we're talking about right now. This is private banking. There is no money. We're doing private banking in a system where there is no money. There is no, I don't think, can Artie's corporate fiction and the Shield and whoever else, I don't know, these guys, can they explain that to you? I mean, they don't, they avoid that question. They like to act like the Federal Reserve is like, Federal Reserve notes are like real money. Then I know Artie corporate fiction, you understand the Federal Reserve notes have no intrinsic value whatsoever. You understand that, right, sir? Will you get into a discussion with your listening audience and explain to them the Federal Reserve Act of 1913 and what happened in 1933, 20 years later, with the bankruptcy of the United States and the institution of House Joint Resolution 192, June 5th, 1933, Public Law 73-10, that's codified in Title 31, 5118, which is the rescission of the gold clause? Would you explain that to your people, sir? We need to get an explanation. Some people need to understand what's going on, because y'all making a mockery of the citizens of this country, and we are the sovereigns, and you are people who have jobs. You're not no fucking businessman. You're a clown. You're over there on damn YouTube involved in clownery and buffoonery. You're not trying to educate anybody in anything. Then you have the audacity, the unmitigated gall to come on my channel and try to question me, and you don't possess the requisite intelligence to even challenge me on this subject. You've been sitting around jacking your dick, watching television, and probably sniffing coke. Get out of here. AGR is a resolution. That is not the code. That is not a law. That is a resolution. AGR 192 is not a law. All right, so we got a general understanding of what value is. We got to understand, where is value. Value is the operative term that we need to understand. What is value? So now let's look at UCC 1-201-44 generally says that a person gives value. And this is where we're going to start getting into what rights are. We're giving value for rights in the private, and they're also giving things for rights in the public. There's an exchange going on. Understand something. It is a basic principle of natural law that nature abhors the vacuum, which means there's no such thing as something for nothing. There's no such thing as something for nothing. If you're an individual that's constantly on the internet wondering why people are asking for money to pay for something, I can rest assured that you are a broke motherfucker. You're broke. You don't get any pussy. You probably don't get any respect from any women or anything like that, because you are the type of man that is looking for something for nothing. A person looks for something for nothing, you can categorize that person with fleas, ticks, rats, roaches, parasites. It doesn't exist. Stop looking for it. I don't think we have to. Where do we have to give Federal Reserve notes? He's asking for Federal Reserve notes. Well, we have to give Federal Reserve notes. He just wants your money. No, you's a bum. Women should shame men who publicly ask for something for nothing. That's their job. Women's job is to make you feel this goddamn small if you are a piece of shit and you can't produce anything. That is their job. Because if they weren't here, you wouldn't care. You know, why do they want money and things like that? Because they telling you get off your sorry ass. Because listen, man, here's a thing in life that you have to accept. In life, you're either growing or dying. You are never remaining the same. Change, the only thing that doesn't change is change. Change is constant. Either you're changing going up or you're changing going down. One of the two. So if you, that's why they tell you that the enemy is complacency, comfort. I'm comfortable where I'm at right now. She needs to put some fire up on the ass and she needs to get rid of your ass because those two things don't exist either. Ain't no such thing as complacency and comfort, or I'm okay where I'm at right now. That shit don't exist in contemplation of reality because one of the natural laws is change. I told a guy this in California. He has a real nice business. He just keeps it the same. I said, man, don't you want to grow, franchise your business? Nah, I'm cool right here. I said, brother, you either growing it, your business is either growing or dying. It's either growing or dying. You need to read that book, Who Moved My Cheese? That book had a profound effect on me. But it was something I was already doing naturally. Because as a businessman, if you're a good businessman, you always have to be thinking of what you're going to do next. If what you're doing to make money ever stops, what are you going to do next? If what you're doing to make money ever stops, what are you going to do next? Do you already have that in your mind? Are you already prepared to make the shift or move from what you're doing now and shift over into something else that's making you money? That's the premise of Who Moved My Cheese. Anybody read that book? Great book. Great book. Who moved my cheese? Who moved my cheese? And let me put it on. Let me put the link on here. Somebody, what was the name of the book again? You know, Amazon started as a website for books. Y'all know that, right? I remember when it was just selling books. I remember when Amazon was just selling books. Here it is right here. If you want to go to Amazon, order it right now. If you have an Amazon account, put it in your library. Who moved my cheese? It's an easy read. Oh, I can't put the link in there. Hold on. Who moved my cheese? And there is the link in the description. Go over there on Amazon and get it. There it is right there. Who Moved My Cheese? Who Moved My Cheese? Who Moved My Cheese? That's a good book. I strongly recommend you read that book. That book right there, if you're a businessman or even just anything in life, you know, it talks about complacency. It talks about comfort. It talks about you're getting money and then, you're expecting, well, what happens when the money starts coming? One of the rats, he's off to the next pile of cheese, and one sits around waiting for something to drop out of the sky. If you're just sitting around waiting for something to drop out of the sky, all right. So make sure you read that. Who Moved My Cheese? That was an excellent book. Excellent book. I got a list of books. I'm gonna start doing book reviews too. That was a very good book. All right. So let's keep going. UCC 201. Now we're going to talk about rights includes remedies. What is a right? A remedy. When you say remedy, we're talking about a right. And usually a right has to be in the form of a contract. Your rights enforceable in contracts because we are private and contract law is our law as private citizens. We have the right to contract unlimited. You just don't have rights by the default. Your rights have to be expressed in the form of a contract to be enforceable. Please remember what I just said. Please remember what I just said. You need a contract. That's why you do an administrative process, because administrative process creates a contract, an agreement. Do y'all understand what I'm saying right now? Because y'all just say, I just got rights. Okay, you do have rights, but your rights have to be put in the form of a contract. I hear this thing, all my bills are prepaid and all that. People say that, they don't even know what the fuck it means. Well, all our bills are prepaid. What does that mean? What does that mean? What does that mean, your bills are prepaid? Explain it to someone. How are your bills prepaid? That's why we're doing stuff like this, because people just regurgitate stuff. My bills are prepaid. That tickles the ear. It sounds good. But if you're questioned on it in court, can you explain it? Can you articulate it and substantiate that statement using some sort of reference material to substantiate what you're saying? Let's keep going. Once again, we're reading What is Acceptance for Value? If you're just joining us, here's the document right here. There's a link to it. We are on page 8 of 56. We're under rights, which is UCC. We're going to discuss what rights are. A remedy is a commercial right for those who acquire that right through an instrument. A remedy is a commercial right for those who acquire that right through an instrument. In corporate United States, there must be a written record of everything. It has to be in writing. Every time they tell you something, yes, I'm sorry, sir, but where did you get that from? If they call you a U.S. citizen, ask them, how do you define U.S. citizen and where you derive the definition from? If they tell you can't do something, I'm sorry, sir, could you quote the statute, code, rule, or regulation to substantiate that statement you just made for the record that I can't do X, Y, and Z? They are robots with instructions. They can't do what they want to do. They are administrators. They have to follow the dictates of the legislature. They like programs. It's just like with the Matrix in the movie. The Matrix was so fucking cold. That was a cold ass fucking movie, man. That was one of the coldest movies ever, man. That movie was so cold blooded because it was analogizing what is really happening in today when they're going against those programs. They were programs. That's what you're doing when you're dealing with people in the public. They're programs because they all have been programmed. They all have to follow a statute. They're all following some sort of program. They can't do their own thing. If they're doing their own thing, then they become liable personally. That's when you can sue them. That's when you can put a lien on them. If they're not operating within the ambit of delegated authority. So a remedy is a commercial right for those who acquire that right through an instrument. In corporate United States, there must be a written record of everything. Nothing is supposed to be assumed or presumed, but that does not mean assumptions and presumptions are not used every day to acquire rights and enforce them. They operate off assumptions, presumptions, and color of law. And we operate off of rebuttable presumptions. Rebuttable assumptions. We rebut assumptions and we rebut assumptions and presumptions with facts. You cannot rebut a presumption with another presumption. You have to rebut a presumption with a fact. Another reason why you're doing an administrative process. For a matter to be resolved, it must be expressed. Let me tell you something. If you're doing this and you understand the 10 maxims of commercial law, let me give you these real quick. 10 maxims of commercial law. 10 maxims of commercial law. You got to know these because people always ask me, how do I get a lien off? A lien can only be satisfied through payment in full, counter affidavit, or jury trial. You don't have to ask me. The answer's already there. You need to know this. You're going to do this, you need to know that right there. 10 maxims of commercial law. I need to download that and put that on my website. 10 maxims of commercial law. You need to understand this. All 10 of these. All 10 of these. 10 maxims of commercial law. All right, let's keep going. A remedy is a commercial right for those who acquire that right through an instrument. In corporate United States, there must be a written record of everything. Nothing is supposed to be assumed or presumed, but that does not mean that assumptions and presumptions are not used every day to acquire rights and enforce them. If the right that is being enforced is a security interest in a tangible or intangible thing, it usually comes from an instrument that is actually supported by the thing. This is usually, but not always, a pledge or a promise to relinquish possession of a thing if there's a breach of the agreement. Okay, an illustration of what he's talking about is a mortgage or your car. You entered into agreement that if you did not perform under that agreement, that they can come and take the car or the house. Now, the performance, one thing you'll never see in these contracts, it will never have any contract that you must pay a debt with Federal Reserve notes. Now, one of the things that you have to be conscious of is rescission of a contract. And I'm going to give you this real quick. And that is in 15 USC 1635, right of rescission of certain transactions. You need to be familiar with this because they are supposed to notify you in your documentation that you have a right to rescind a contract and your more, but they give you up to 3 years to do it. So if you have a mortgage, if they didn't put in your mortgage contract that and give you a notice that you had a right to rescind using a form, which is in section H of this particular statute, then you can rescind the contract and you can probably get your house free and clear. It's a really interesting code section. If you go down to the bottom, it has right here, it has, let me see if this is it. Did I give y'all the right one? Wait a minute, I might not have gave y'all the right one. Hold on, that might have been the wrong one. Right of rescission, this is it right here. Yeah, this is it right here. I gave you the wrong one. This is it right here. Right here. This is Section 1026.23, right? Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, right to rescind. If you go down to the bottom, on the special rules for foreclosures, right to rescind. After the initiation of a foreclosure on the consumer's principal dwelling that secures the credit obligation, the consumer shall have the right to rescind the transaction if a mortgage broker fee that should have been included in the financial charge is not included, or two, the creditor did not provide the properly completed appropriate model form in Appendix H of this part or substantially similar notice of rescission. If they didn't give you notice of rescission, you have a right to rescind that mortgage. Now, I don't see where the 3 years came from, but when we found this out, that's the cap that the courts put on it because people found out about this, and that's what they always do, even though it's not anything in the law that says it's 3 years. But if you go into court and try to do it and it's been beyond 3 years, that's what they're going to tell you. All right? All right, so let's go. Let's keep going. Where am I at? Where am I at? Where am I at? Okay. So, because enforcement of a contract based on an implied promise is weak, you can't have a contract that's implied, but it's weak. It needs to be expressed to have teeth in it. An instrument demanding performance on it is an offer to initiate a new contract based on an old, antecedent, and maybe implied or unenforceable contract. Now, what is the implied promise that he's talking about this week? Well, the implied promise is you being a U.S. citizen. They don't have anything that's an implication that's implied that you're a U.S. citizen. It's a weak. So when they present you with some sort of indictment or something like that, that's an express contract that's going to substantiate the fact that you are a U.S. citizen. This is why we have to rebut the presumption. Okay, you coming in and not trying to answer to the name, would you please stop doing that shit? Put in an affidavit of denial of corporate existence. You have one in Abatement of Common Law by Don Quixote. Use that one right out of there. Read it and understand every word that's in it. Affidavit of denial of corporate existence. Stop going in the court and say, I'm not that name. That's not me. That ain't put in the affidavit of denial of corporate existence. That's what it's for, to let them know you're not a corporation. I got to write a book. There's a lot of information that's out there. It needs to be updated. Understand that. And then people, they are not intelligent enough to understand that. A lot of information has to be updated, okay? Once again, because enforcement of a contract based on an implied promise is weak, and an instrument demanding performance on it is an offer to initiate a new contract based on an old antecedent and maybe implied or unenforceable contract, if an instrument is based on an intentional written promise to perform and an unintentional pledge to relinquish property, it does not have to be issued for value. It is just issued, and the original contract with the offeror's rights to the pledged property is the consideration that supports the demand. A copy of the written promise and pledge can be attached to the instrument. That's like in the case of mortgages and cars. Or the instrument can just refer to the contract by its title number or date, etc. The issuer of the instrument demanding performance supported by a written promise as defense is if the debtor files a complaint against the issuer for making the demand. The issuer can produce the antecedent contract that contains the initial promise to perform and the intentional pledge to use tangible or intangible property to secure the performance. Let's pause right here and understand something. Okay, so in Georgia, we have something. Let me give y'all some jewels. Just go back. I just want to show y'all how long I've been knowing this stuff. Let me give this code section. Am I gonna be able to find it? Oh man, let's see. I can't get in my Dropbox right now, but let me tell y'all what it is. If you're in court, if they produce a copy of something, the copy is admissible if it is not objected to. If you're going to require them to produce the original, you have to object to it and require them to produce the original. Hearsay evidence is admissible if it's not objected to. One of the things that you have to learn to do is learn how to object. So, objection, Your Honor, that's hearsay. We need someone who can come in and testify to the veracity and validity of the contents of the document that counsel is attempting to proffer in the evidence. Then, once you object, you're looking for sustained or overruled. If he does not say sustained or overruled, that's called an equivocal ruling, which means he's not committing on the record. And when the appellate court gets it, the appellate court is always has an automatic presumption that the trial court did everything correctly, unless you can show that they did something incorrectly. So if they allow hearsay evidence over your objection into evidence, that can be appealed, but you need to put it on record by objection. Objection, Your Honor, hearsay. Now, where did I get this from? There's a document that you can read. It's called Court Tricks and Traps. This is like mandatory reading. Mandatory. This ain't even no optional type thing. Everybody listen to me should be reading this. Court Tricks and Traps. I'm going to put this on my website. Here it is right now. I need to do a whole show on this right here, to tell you the truth. Court Tricks and Traps. Right here. Court Tricks and Traps. You need to know how to object. Objection, Your Honor, hearsay. You know, as a matter of fact, if anytime you're in court and an attorney's there by himself, you should object to everything he's saying. He doesn't have any witnesses. He can't call nobody. He don't have firsthand knowledge of anything. Just say objection, Your Honor, hearsay. Every time he talks, just object to it. Because he has to call witnesses. He don't have firsthand knowledge of nothing. I don't give a fuck what document he put in the evidence. Object to it. He wasn't there when it was signed. So if you want to learn how to object, that is a badass document to learn how to object. That's what, man, let me tell you, man, that document right there, it saved me in so many situations. It helped me understand so many things. That court tricks and traps document. Oh my God, that was a great document. You need to understand it. I don't care if you don't read a lot of other things. That is a document you need to read. Once again, I'm copying it right now. Court Valiant Liberty wrote this one. Valiant Liberty was a bad boy. He's the one who wrote that the secret maritime jurisdiction exposed too. He's a bad boy. There were some bad boys and bad researchers. He's one of them. That was a bad. Valiant Liberty is a bad researcher. You need to read that document. Read that document. Read that document. You got to read that. How you have to learn how to object. Once you learn how to object, then you'll be able to see when an attorney throws you under the bus. When you're getting in court and you're looking at, it's like a situation I had when an attorney, I was in court in federal court and I was getting sentenced. This is before I learned any of this stuff. And they said I had a stolen car. Now, the car they said was stolen, I had the title to, and I drove it up to the to the courthouse. It was sitting outside in the parking lot. I was on bond. I was out. I come into court, and I drove my car up to the courthouse, and this lady is sitting there saying I stole the car. So I'm bumping the my public defender. My attorney, the attorney that was sitting next to me. I'm bumping him, and I'm saying, "Say, man, what is she talking about? That car is parked outside." And I didn't understand what was going on. I'm like, "Why is she saying this shit?" He didn't object. He didn't do anything. He looked at me. He looked at me. Man, let me tell you something. When he looked at me, he had this fearful look on his face. Uh, He didn't say shit, and that stood on the record. These are some of the things that have pissed me off over the years of why I'm coming and telling you things of how attorneys throw you under a bus. Attorneys throw you under the bus a lot of times because you don't know how to object. You don't know what needs to be objected to. You don't know. So he's just sitting there, and this prosecutor is saying something that is clearly hearsay, but because he did not object to it, hearsay evidence is admissible unless it's objected to. Hearsay evidence is admissible unless it is objected to. That is the purpose of objection. Objection to hearsay. If counsel wishes to testify, please have him to be sworn in and take the stand to subject himself to cross-examination. Artie's Corporate Fiction, are you watching this? You gonna do are you gonna do a response video on what I'm saying right now and try to say I'm lying about what I'm saying? Or are you going to edit out this part of the video too? Attorneys are there's a presumption that attorneys are under oath because they're all bonded. So they operate off of presumptions. You got to rebut the presumption. There's a presumption that the attorney has a bar card. You don't understand that until you tell the court to put the bar card in the evidence. There's a presumption that the attorney is telling the truth or whatever. That they all swore to uphold the Constitution. But that's a presumption because it's not in fact, because it's not on the record. Once again, you need to read Court Tricks and Traps. Here's the document if you're just joining us one more time. Court, that is a very important document. It's only 4 pages long. If you can't read something that's 4 pages long, I don't even know what to fucking help you. You should have a study group. Y'all should have a study group because there's something in there. It even has what to say in court in it. It has the verbiage in it. It has the verbiage in it. Where is that in where is that at? I forgot where it was. Where is it? Is in there. To reserve testimony. Tells you what an offer of proof is. If they exclude it or they overrule you, you have to make an offer of proof. You need to know how to do that. Where is that thing? Where is it at? I'm looking for it. Oh, and that's another thing I forgot. If the judge does not, like, sometimes you'll say objection on a hearsay, and the judge say, "What do you mean?" He'll start talking to you, but he doesn't say sustained or overruled. If he doesn't say sustained or overruled, I don't give a damn what he says. He get through talking. They do this a lot because this is one of the tests they use on pro se litigants when they know that you don't understand things, and you just listening to them. I said, objection, that's hearsay. What do you mean that's hearsay? I'm gonna just let it go into the record. Or he says something like that. Just wait for him to get through. And he said, for the record, I take exception to the honorable judge's refusal to rule on my objection. Will you please enter sustained or overruled into the record so I can preserve the error, sir? You got to know these things, especially if you're going to go into court and argue, and like some of y'all like to do, like they're making all these videos about y'all they're making a mockery of you on YouTube, and y'all going into court. You don't know how to form objections. You don't do exceptions. You don't do none of that shit. They're making you like a fool, and then you can complaining, talking about how corrupt they are. No, it's not corrupt. Your dumb ass just don't know how to go into court and argue a case, which you should not be doing in the first place. But if you want to go down that route, then learn how to do it. I'm not saying you can't do it. All right, I'm going to stop right here, and I'm going to continue tomorrow. We're going to do a part 3. We're going to stop right here on page 8. I'm going to let y'all digest this information that I have just told you. You got to read these documents that I'm talking about, court tricks and traps. That is a very important document for you to read. You got to understand what acceptance is and what value is. How is value derived from something? You have to understand what a express or implied contract is, or an express or implied agreement is. Okay, you have to understand these things. You're playing a very sophisticated game, and they're making you look like a fool because you don't know the rules to the game. All right, with that, we'll continue tomorrow. I'm gonna try to keep these videos a little shorter. I'm trying to keep them about an hour. I've been doing 2 and 3 hour videos. That's just too long. I'm gonna try to make them into an hour. We're gonna break them up and give like little bits and pieces and chunks. Let they marinate in your mind. We got to get this cup of acceptance and value. What is value? What is acceptance? When we're dealing with securities, what is valuable? Your car is valuable. Okay, I'll give you $10,000. If you don't pay me, I can come and get the car. Oh, okay, I'll give you $200,000 if I can't pay you, if I can come and get the house. Oh, okay, I'll take it that if I can come get your body and put you in jail if you don't pay the debt, if you don't pay your debt to society. Value. So you love the extended versions. I know, but I can't keep doing extended versions, man. I can't do it. I can't keep doing that, man. It's a lot. You know, I'll be on there like 2, 3 hours. I can't. It's just too long. Anyway, we'll be back tomorrow. I'm going to put the link up for the class for tomorrow. Same bad time, same bad channel. Just and then y'all need to digest everything I'm saying. Try and attempt to read what does acceptance for value mean. It is probably the most important document that you could ever read to gain an understanding of what we're talking about when we're talking about setting off debt, whether it be a court case, a criminal case. It is a very sophisticated read. That's why I'm going to take it slow. This individual talking about, can I put it in 30 minutes and digest it? I could chop it up into 30 minutes. But could you chop your degree up in 30 minutes? People are just crazy. Can you just condense this for me in like Cliff Notes or something like that? And so I can just get 30. No, motherfucker, no. I've been doing this a long time. I know my audience. If I'm moving too slow for you, I'm sorry. I'm moving slow for the people who are slow. I just am, okay? So I'll be back tomorrow. I'm getting some rest. It is almost 1 o'clock in the morning here. I got to rest, and I will talk to you tomorrow. I'll put up the link. Look for the link for tomorrow's class. Okay. Peace to the gods from Barcelona, Spain. I'm out. Peace.